friends, and welcome to WahWoman. India and Slovenia have maintained friendly relations for several decades. Both the nations have cooperated in various fields, including culture, science, education, trade, and have strengthened their bilateral ties with regular high level visits and exchanges. And of course, they continue to explore new avenues to strengthen their ties further. To enlighten us more on it, we are very pleased to welcome Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Slovenia to India, Mateja Vodeb Ghosh, for this conversation. Ma'am, we are very honored to have you here today. And let me begin the conversation with the first question, which is about your own experience on relationship with this country since you have been in India for quite some time now. And having lived in a country for so many years, which is very different in culture, language, tradition, and various other elements, what impact do you feel it has left on you?
First of all, thank you so very much for having me. Coming from Western culture, when I came to India, I also thought that there would be vast differences between me and the people here. But to my big surprise, I actually realized that in many ways we have quite similar values, at least with the country I come from, with Slovenia and India. Family is still very important in my country, which I think you also highly value. Then food, many things evolve around food in India. And it's the same in Slovenia. So there are many similarities, despite the fact that, Slovenia is a small country with 2 million population, and India is a mega country with 1.4 billion, and I would say much, much more diversity than Slovenia. But of course, I think altogether I've been in India for over 10 years, not intermittently. I mean, I came and I left and came back. But it did change me a little bit, I must confess. I love colors in India. So I noticed that I started to dress in more colorful clothes. Also, before I came to India, to be very honest, I didn't like jewelry very much, but now I do. Also, recently I've noticed that I switched from coffee drinker to masala chai drinker.
Wow.
Probably because my husband makes very, very good masala chai. Mm-hmm. Then coconut water has become my favorite drink in the whole world. I think nimbu pani is a drink which during the heat season is the best to quench your thirst. Also, I think the love for animals increased. I always loved animals, but one of the biggest surprises when I came to India is actually that I realized you have national parks. I thought that national parks are only, and safaris, not national parks, safaris actually. I thought safaris are only in Africa, but no, you have many in India. So, I fell in love with rhinos in Kaziranga, for example. I mean, tigers are just amazingly, magical creatures, and also lions and birds and you name it. You have so many. And of course, also dogs. I love dogs. So with all the stray dogs around, it's a dog's heaven, I would say. And so I do try to, help. If somebody is injured, I take the dog to the vet and so on. So I have quite few dog friends around in my neighborhood. And also cricket. Cricket has become my favorite sport. And I think there is no other sport which is better than cricket. So this is more on, on the daily practical way of life. But also I think India inspired me spiritually. It's you have Ayurveda, you have yoga. I started with meditation to kind of calm my mind. So I think this is the side of the India which inspired me a lot. And also, I think one of the most rewarding parts of my job here has been talking to young girls, uh, young girls who come from underprivileged society. And when you talk to them, you learn about their challenges and you see how much courage and self-confidence they have. I think it's truly, truly inspiring. Um, and yes, I also realized one thing. I'm still not a very patient person, but I am much more patient now than before I came to India.
Wow, that's incredible. And it sounds so wonderful to hear that you are enjoying every bit of being an Indian, being in India, because it is not very easy for somebody like you who hail from European background to adjust in new environment so well and embracing this diversity so closely. So I'm moving on to my next question. As I mentioned in the beginning, also about the strong relations of India and Slovenia and how both countries have collaborated in so many areas such as science, technology, education, and culture. So, what are some of the recent developments in this regard happening?
Uh, it's what I've noticed. I mean, professionally, I've been dealing with India here in India since 2010. So I can see the evolution of the relationships, right? And I think in general, with the rise of India on global stage, many more countries are interested to come to India, to experience India, and not only in a political at a political level, but also through culture and of course in business. And we have quite a few agreements between our two countries, which kind of help to broaden and accelerate cooperation. In science and technology, for example, we every 4 years we kind of coordinate joint program, joint calls, and then they decide in which sectors they would cooperate. So I think now it's very popular: polymers, biomedicine, biotechnology, artificial intelligence, urbanization. So that is one thing where cooperation is very good, not only on bilateral level, but there are also some projects through European Union that Indian and Slovenian scientists and researchers are cooperating. Then, of course, there is also in the business, there are not many companies, Slovenian companies based here in India, but some are there, and mostly with niche technologies. It's, for example, we have smart meters, then it's advanced materials, then we have some automobile components. Then, of course, there is also quite good cooperation in pharmaceutical fields, steel industry, but also recently, I think we have a company which should open their manufacturing unit here in India in manufacturing cables. So there are kind of a niche products which we do with which we are present here on Indian market. And I think niche products are the strengths of Slovenian economy. Because as I said, we are a small country, 20 lakh, 2 million. So our capacities are limited. The scale of Indian market is basically too big for our companies. So we come with the niche technologies. Our companies find a good Indian partner. So, and this is then leads to a success. We also offer some scholarships for postgraduate studies and also for PhD studies. And especially for PhD studies, it's going quite well. I think we also have many IT Indian experts in Slovenia. In Slovenia, I mean, relatively, we cannot compare ourselves to Germany, right? But there are quite few of them. And what we tried in the past few years, it's also to increase kind of a culture exchange. And the way our embassy here in Delhi is going, that we try to find collaboration between Indian and Slovenian artists. And last year we had a concert with which we celebrated the 30 years of diplomatic relations between our two countries. And there were two guitarists from Slovenia, and then a tabla player and a singer from India, from Mumbai. And they were singing kind of an ethno-Slovenian and Indian song. So it was a beautiful evening. We also had a Slovenian, I would say, multi sector, or whatever you could call it, artist. She does like music, dance, literature, also some wonderful art products from laces and so on. So we combined this with idea of Indian spirituality. So she included like Indian music. So this was very interesting. And for this year, we are planning, hopefully, to do something like that, coordination in cooperation in water sector. So the two artists, one from Slovenia and one from India, would do some kind of artwork together to kind of raise the public awareness of the importance of water. We also had quite a lot of activities with the International Bee Day or World Bee Day, with which we try to raise awareness of the importance of pollinators for the food production and for the environment. We also regularly participate at the EU film festivals with Slovenian movies, and we had in the past half a year a short film festival on Slovenian contemporary films in Chennai and in Kolkata. So there are many events and many projects going on, and I hope it will continue in this way.
So that's really great to hear that both nations are working on some of the great projects, because like you mentioned about EU Film Festival, also you made a mention about water, a very, very serious, and I think the need of the hour is water now. It is high time we must address this issue of water. And of course, you discussed about pharmaceuticals, AI, manufacturing cables, education, scholarships, cultural cooperation. I would love to ask you one more area where I feel, because I was in Slovenia last year, and I found Slovenia a splendid country which offers you stunning views, wonderful culture, and not to forget delicious food. And I really loved being on the sunny side of the Alps, I must say that. I wanted to know about the promotion of travel and tourism of Slovenia in different countries, especially in India, because I did not spot as many Indians tourists in Slovenia as tourists from other parts of the world when I was in Slovenia. Can you please throw some light on that?
Yeah, you are right that Slovenia is quite a unique country, right? You said on the sunny side of the Alps.
Yeah.
We also like to promote Slovenia as the only country in the world with the love word in it. Slovenia, right?
Ah,
Love. So, and our tourist organization at the national level, it's very, very active. And I think just recently in India, you could see many promotions on CNN news. So, but yes, you're right that the promotion of tourism, Slovenian tourism here, is not perhaps as as visible
yeah.
as in other countries.
Yeah.
But the embassy has in the past collaborated with uh, Indian agencies who are promoting Slovenian trips. We also had some Slovenian travel agencies that came to India and promote Slovenia as a travel destination. We also had some mostly South Indian film production companies
Oh,
that came to India and filmed some of the spots there. So these are some of the instruments, but of course, it's also other through other events that embassy prepares, which not necessarily have to do with the tourism as such, but also through the culture projects, through the business to business project, we try to uh, present Slovenia as a charming travel destination.
yeah.
And for this year, hopefully we'll succeed to do something like that through the culture project, which would kind of present the Lipicaner horses in Slovenia. And Lipica is also a place in Karst with, it's a tourist place. So there will be like art and with the promotion of the Karst and Lipica as such. And not far away from Lipica is also the seaside. Not far away from Lipica is also Italy, Trieste, Venice. So we do hope that through this kind of a small project, we'll be able to do the tourism promotion.
Great. That's a wonderful news. And on that note, I would love to tell all viewers about Ljubljana, capital city of Slovenia, because Ljubljana is named the European Green Capital by European Commission for its efforts in sustainable urban development, green transport, waste management, and other environmental initiatives. So, ma'am, since country has so much strong focus on sustainable development and environmental protection, how is Slovenia working with India to promote these values here in India?
Yeah, it's true what you said about our capital. It's. I should also add that Slovenia in 2017, I believe, was also named the most sustainable destination country by National Geographic.
Wow.
And very interestingly, for the past 5 years, Slovenia has always ranked among top 10 sustainable destinations. So yeah, I think sustainability is part of our genes, if you want. Um, so what are we doing in India? I think before you mentioned water and the importance of water. So this is one field where we are very much involved in. Here in India, we have two companies which were included in this national mission on Clean Ganga. So they are they are going to help with satellite and other kind of technology to monitor the rivers along Ganga River and do the flood prediction and so on. And of course, this will contribute to the sustainability. Then another project which they are planning to do is within Klinganga is river twinning project, and the idea is that the part of Ganga river here in India would twin with Sava River Commission in Slovenia, because we have a very good knowledge in the river management. So we hope that from this will come some sustainable outcomes. Then, like for example, just this past weekend, Slovenia was together with Netherlands, Germany, and Netherlands, Germany, and Italy, and the city lieutenant governor of Delhi. We were organizing the Cycle for Life event, with which we tried to raise awareness among Indian or New Delhi population, the importance and the benefits of cycling. And I must say it was quite a good turnout, and was happy to see that there were many Indian participants on the bicycles.
Wow.
And I think I would not say that this is thanks to this project, but because this was the third time organized. I already saw some cycling paths in Delhi. So I do hope that this will continue. And as you know, Europe is probably the country which this cycling, the importance of cycling is very much advanced. Then, for example, I also participated at TIA Summit. That's a kind of a conference in Bangalore where many startups come from India and from abroad, where I presented how our businesses are doing business in a sustainable way. And this, I must say, the government is very much involved. It offers workshops to the companies how to be more sustainable. And I think here we could also have, a lot of exchanges with the Indians. Then also here in Delhi, the EU delegation organizes e-waste collection. So, and it's very much publicized. So we also get involved in this project. So I think when I was here as a political counselor, we also participated in cleaning the environment, picking up the garbage in Priya market and so on. So there are a lot of activities here in India in that regard. And I think one important thing which we are also trying to do whenever we have, kind of a workshops or visits in Indian schools, when we chat with the Indian kids, we try to raise the awareness of sustainability and taking care of the environment.
Wow, so many intriguing events are happening, and especially you made a mention about Ganges cleaning project, which I feel is very, very important, very essential. And I think Indian government have already made lot of endeavors in past to clean Ganga, and so much have been happening already. But I think with cooperation with Slovenia, the country which is already focusing a lot on sustainable development and has a lot of experience in such projects, I believe that is going to be very, very beneficial for our nation. So, ma'am, with this, I come to the last question. And the last question is about your message that you would love to convey to Indian businesses and tourists who are considering Slovenia as a destination for investment and travel.
I think to address Indian business people, you have to have kind of a little bit different message. So I think the most important thing is that, the size of Slovenian market should not be an obstacle. because we are actually part of European Union. So we are part of over 500 million market. So there are many opportunities, and Slovenia could very well be the base for their business in wider Europe, especially, for example, like in North Italy, South Germany, Austria, Czech, Slovakia, Hungary, even perhaps in Croatia and Western Balkans, where Slovenian business people are very familiar with. Then I think one of the advantages is also that, as you mentioned already before, that people are English. I mean, almost all people speak English, right? So it's not difficult to communicate and to talk to Slovenian people. But I think also I see it as an advantage. It's a very, very high quality of life. I think it's, as you mentioned already before, food. The distance between cities is not too big, so you don't have to spend too much time in the traffic. One of the nicest things is, for example, when I do travel to work, when I commute to work back home in Slovenia, I see many mountains around, many forests. So basically, the nature is always very, very close. So and even in the city of Ljubljana, you have a few parks which are very easily accessible.
I have seen beautiful parks, really, really beautiful. And I would say that there are parks which are very informative. They are the parks which are around the culture, history, and not just about greenery. So every park communicates something to you, and which is very intriguing part. Please continue.
Yeah, no, I think that is also one of the strategies of our tourism promotion. You mentioned parks, but for example, we also have cycling routes, right? And these cycling routes are done in such a way that they're combined with the either nature attractions or history attractions, or with Slovenian cuisine or Slovenian wines, So it's really very well thought of, and it's all also supported then by the hotels which receive bikers and so on. So yeah, this is one of our strengths when it comes to tourism. And what we want to say to the Indian potential tourists, Slovenia is like a boutique country, right? You have not such a huge space, but you can find basically everything there. You can find lakes, you can find mountains, you can find seaside. As you mentioned, very rich cities with history. We also have flatlands, so if you don't like mountains, it's also flat. We have karst with many caves. One of them is even UNESCO heritage site. So, and what is also interesting that we have different kind of architecture, right? So at the seaside, you have a lot of influence from Italy.
Yeah.
So it's different architecture than, for example, if you go on the northern part, where it's kind of a little bit similar, like in Switzerland or in Austria.
Yeah.
Then again, when you go closer to the Hungarian, the architecture is different. So it's very, very interesting. It's within
different parts offer different architecture and different connection with the history of past. That's something very enticing about Slovenia. Okay, ma'am. So, and with that, we have come to the end of today's episode, and we really appreciate your time and efforts you are putting in to strengthen the bilateral relationship, bilateral ties between the two nations. Thank you so much for taking time to share your perspective and insights with us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers, for watching.